What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television on a happy
hump day
edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. And how do we start off this show? As you know them, you love them, you got to have them. So here it is. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Neal Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. We will have former NFL quarterback Seneca Wallace on with us, breaking down what else the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost to the San Francisco 49ers. That didn't work out too well, did it? The bye week couldn't come at a better time for a lot of Bucs fans out there. And I guess the question for the night, because we posed it last week, we'll pose it again. Do you feel like Todd Bowles should be on the hot seat? The phone lines are open as we speak. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Also, what do you take out of the first half of this season if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan? For me, it's injuries. For me, it's missed opportunities, which we can go back to with the Atlanta Falcons. Both of those games are winnable if your defense is able to make one more stop. To be fair, the Falcon game, the first one, your offense is not very good there with 1:52 left because Levante David has an interception. But winnable games. You go back to the Kansas City Chiefs game. A winnable game, even with the injury situation, and that would also be what I think about when it comes to the first half of this season. The multitude, Leo word, of injuries that the Bucs have had, namely Mike Evans, Chris Godwin being out for the year. Defensively, Antoine Winfield to start, Kalijah Kancey out. It has definitely not helped this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. So I want to hear from you tonight. What's the first thing you think about, or what you are equating the first half to? Is it injuries? Is it missed opportunities? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391 as the Bucs right now are 4-6. But once again, coming out of the bye week, they have an opportunity here. They play the New York Giants, a winnable game. Carolina Panthers, 2 games there, very winnable. The Saints, very winnable. The Chargers, maybe not so much. That'd be a tough game. The Raiders in a couple weeks at Raymond James Stadium. The Cowboys, who have lost Dak Prescott for the year. So injuries have not just happened to this Bucs team. It has happened to other teams, and it's definitely affecting the records. Let's go back out to the text line here, because Webheads, I don't want to neglect you tonight. And then we'll get out to Leo Haggerty, expecting Seneca Wallace again, former NFL quarterback. Happy to hear from him. Want to get his analysis when it comes to what else? Quarterbacks. How did Baker Mayfield play on Sunday? Especially that 4th down play with Nick Bosa having the other guys one arm there, one-armed Baker Mayfield. So let's go out to the Marine himself, Mr. Ron Bucs Fantastic McCleary, Big Pete B. Thanks a lot for tuning in. As always, Marine.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate you. Let's go out to the Tribal Troll.
Acknowledge me.
First, as always, Bucs are done. They are who that we thought they were. I wonder if you would say the same thing about the Chicago Bears also.
This guy sucks.
Because I don't know what's worse. The Bucs or the Bears, because you were singing the praises of Caleb Williams, and now the offensive coordinator is officially fired. So are they who you thought they were? Are the Bears just what you think they are every year? It's like Groundhog Day. You fire a coach, you fire a general manager, you get a new quarterback, you ruin that quarterback. You hire a new coach, you hire a new GM, and then you fire him and you ruin another quarterback. What is this, 3 in a row? Third time's the charm there, Roger Shoe. Listen, if you want to troll me tonight, I am definitely not in the mood. But if you want to do it, I'm going to troll that ass on Happy Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Tell you right now, Tyson in 2 rounds already, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Dar here. Hey, friend, what's going on? How you doing?
Woo!
Let's go out to Tim here. What's up, Peter? What's up with you?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Martha. You have to be with the team in good and not so good times. They are humans, and many are hurt. It doesn't help. Yeah, I mean, definitely, Martha. You have to look at it that way. You can absolutely look at the NFL, but also the NFL is not for long, and guys have to step up, and the Bucs have not stepped up along with other teams. Let's go. Bears are trash. I like that, Darlene. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's go out to this man right here. He's the legend, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. Here we go. Let's go out to Mr. Leo Haggerty here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How you doing on this Happy Hump Day edition? We're waiting for Seneca once again here, but let's talk about it. Let's get into it, my friend. The Bucs lose another heartbreaker to the San Francisco 49ers 23-20. Your initial thoughts? Welcome to the Evolution.
Not surprised, Peter. The healthier team won. I won't say the better team, the healthier team.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they got a healthy Christian McCaffrey. They got a healthy, well, I won't say healthy. I'll say playable. Christian McCaffrey's now able to play. Kittle is now able to play. Everybody, when you get to November football and December football in the NFL, you're banged up. It's just a matter of who can, line up and actually get, because everybody's beat up. Let's be honest. You just don't play 8, 9, 10 games in the NFL and not have bumps and bruises. And I was a little bit disappointed in Liam Cohen in the fact that you got to think risk reward. And on 3rd down, in that red zone, right near the goal line, I was hoping he'd run the football, only for this reason. Make San Francisco burn that last timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Make them burn that. And if they let the clock run, good. You take your timeout, kick your field goal, and go to overtime. Take your shot there.
Right.
But if San Francisco burns that and you kick the field goal, now you can defend the sideline. Force San Francisco to throw in the middle of the field because they're out of timeouts, and that clock keeps ticking and ticking and ticking.
Yeah.
He forgot he wasn't playing the 49ers anymore. He was playing the clock. And he got greedy. Let's be honest. He said, okay, let's win this thing right now. The problem is you got to weigh all your options. Okay, if I don't get it, the clock stops. They still have a timeout.
Right. Well, I mean, and you look at it, and that's where a lot of Bucs fans are critical of Bowles with the clock management situations have come back to haunt them, and you kind of feel like when the Bucs have that ball down there, they're trying to bleed the clock out and make San Francisco call those timeouts, and I get that, but you run on the first couple downs and then you pass on third down. Is that on Cohen or is that on Bowles? And what are they thinking at that point? Why not pass the ball on first down or run the ball on first down and go pass? I don't know. Like, you're there. All you got to do is get a touchdown to go ahead of the 49ers. And yet, once again, you get very conservative. Is that on Cohen, in your opinion, or is that on Bowles? Once again, kind of, saying this is what we need to do and it not necessarily working out. Where do you place the blame?
I'm not in the headset, Peter, but I'm putting 90% on Cohen.
Come.
He's calling the plays. It's unless Todd told him and said, hey, run the ball 3 times or, run it twice, so go for the win. But Todd Bowles doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. He strikes me as a guy, okay, I'm going to let my guy do what I hired him to do, run the offense. And again, when they got down there, they had to be thinking, okay, what are we going to do? We got to get San Francisco to burn timeouts, because if you'd have passed it twice and San Francisco had 2 timeouts, they're going to score.
Right.
It's just not, you can't stop that kind of offense in that short a time period when they have 2 timeouts. So the fact that they didn't, again, shoulda, coulda, woulda, Peter. The fact we're dealing with that the past 2 games, should they have gone for overtime? Should they have gone for the win? The good news is we're not sitting there going, man, they got blitzed by 40. Look what's going on in Dallas. Man, oh, man. I'd rather have the Bucs problem of, being 1 play away than the the Dallas Cowboys being a season away.
Yeah, season away. The Carolinas had their fair share of struggles, but they find a way to win. I mean, the Giants, that team that's coming up in a couple weeks after the bye, they're in a complete disarray. I want to go back to this. J.P. Peterson was there, of course, being my colleague on the post-game shows in collaboration with his show and the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And he says after the game, he saw a interaction between the Glazers and also Jason Light. Do you think it's fair to say that not only the owners are disappointed because the talent seems like it was there at the beginning of the season, but also that Todd Bowles once again could be in trouble because now you hear rumors of Bill Belichick admiring what the Bucs and Jason Light are doing. People connect the dots. Belichick may come here if Bowles can't win out. And of course, there's winnable games, but you look at the total NFC, the whole picture, it's going to be very, very tough for the Bucs to get into the playoffs unless Atlanta starts losing some games.
Oh, yeah. It's you got to start winning games. Thinking they're going to win out the rest of the season is ludicrous. I mean, they're going to lose 1 or 2. Just it happens. It's like the Bears. You look at the Bears' schedule. They've got every NFC North team, plus the Seahawks, plus the 49ers. They're looking at 0-8, but it's not going to happen. They're going to find a way to win 1 or 2 of those games, or the teams they're playing are going to find a way to lose 1 or 2 of those games. That's just the nature of the NFL. It changes so much. It's in flux week to week. And, Peter, when you talk about talent, we're talking about August. We're not talking – I mean, let's be honest. If Christian Wirfs is out, stick a fork in this team. They got real problems because look at what they were trying to do. And this is not, shaming the backups or anything, because your quarterbacks now eat up so much of your salary cap that your backups are actually that. You fall off. They're your backups. It may be next man up, but it ain't the next good man up. It's the next player up.
Well, the Bucs dodged a bullet on that because according to ESPN, Wirfs will probably be sidelined a few weeks. That was reported there. And then Bucs coach Todd Bowles said Monday that Wirfs has a low-grade knee sprain. It's considered week to week. You watch that injury on television. It's an ugly one. It could have been not only a season-ending one, but possibly more than a season the way it looked. But once again, the Bucs are fortunate. But the injury bug has absolutely killed this team. Is that the biggest takeaway from the first half of this Bucs season being at 4-6?
It's not the injury bug. It's who they're biting. I mean, look at it. Evans, Godwin, Wirfs. Winfield was down for a while. I mean, just if it bites the wrong players, you got problems.
Yeah.
Look at the Jets 2 years ago. Three plays into the first game, their season's shot.
Yeah.
Because Aaron Rodgers goes down. Again, you're going to get guys hurt. It's the nature of the beast. It just can't be the guys that you're counting on week in and week out to win football games.
Are you surprised that they rescinded the fine versus Roquan Smith on the hip drop tackle there? Are you surprised? Because Jordy Nelson proceeded over that. He's a former wide receiver. They rescinded it today. It didn't look. It looked like a hip drop tackle to me, which is what they were trying to outlaw this year. Are you surprised that they rescinded that fee?
Peter, you got to really look at, and this is what bothers me about when you look at plays. They're looking at it in slow motion. The game's not played in slow motion. You got to look at what's happening in real time. That's what I ask for. Go back, look at that film, look at it in real time. Look at how it's going down at full speed. Is that a hip drop? Yeah, possibly, but is it an intentional hip drop? Is it something that just occurred because of the angle? Was it a football injury? Was it a football tackle? Yeah, and I think that's what they said. That, guess what? Yeah, it meets the criteria of being fined, but we're not going to fine him because we're looking at this going, this is his only way of getting him down. And he had to do it. You're not just going to let the guy go, oh, it's hip drop tackle. No. You're out there to bring a guy to the ground.
All right, let's go back out to the comments here. Julia says we'll bounce back. Absolutely. There's an opportunity there. Going back to it, you get Evans in the second half there. Hopefully next week versus the Giants. You possibly, get back Zion McCollum, could be a hamstring. We talked about Tristan Wirfs. And you get back Jamel Dean, who's a big miss at this point, because if I have to, see some of these corners play, especially Josh Hayes, who I get it is a rookie, and we lost you there, Leo. I don't know what happened to your video, but that's okay. Can they make a second half run, in your opinion, Leo?
Oh, yeah, Peter. Absolutely, they can make a second half run. This is a team that, let's go back to when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were in the same situation. The best thing they got going is they got a late bye week. If this was week 5 and they had to go another 6-7 straight weeks, I'd say, yeah, there's going to be problems. They got a chance not only to get healthy, but to self-scout.
Wow.
That's the key. Look at what you've been doing. Take a look and break down what you're going. Are you giving away tendencies? Are you giving away schemes by the way you're setting up and how you're setting up? So, yeah, they get healthy. They get a week off, but they also can take a look inwardly and find out what's going on.
All right, let's go out to my other co-host here on the show, my long-lost friend. Let's get his intro on. Here we go. Professional handicapper extraordinaire of the evolution of sports talk television has a show called The Over Under, which we need to do because, my friend, we need some picks. I wonder how you're doing with the picks. Let's go out to Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening, gentlemen, and you too, Peter.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Very good. And then let's go out to former NFL quarterback here, Mr. Seneca Wallace. Welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. How you doing?
What's happening, man? Thanks for having me back.
Hey, Seneca, I'm going to throw out a question right away. And I listened to Dan Patrick today, and it was very interesting that he had on a former NFL quarterback who just happens to be in the Hall of Fame, who came out of pretty much the Arena Football League. So you know exactly who I'm talking about. But he brought up a point about Caleb Williams, and he brought up a point about Anthony Richardson, saying that these guys, yeah, they're athletic, but they're not being taught the skill set. And to learn that skill set in the NFL, that's a tall order. Would you agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly. Now, I know you're talking about Kurt Warner, and I agree. Part of it, and I talked about this on a radio show that I was on yesterday, is these kids are not being developed to a point to play and their skill set to play in the National Football League. Playing in the National Football League, you have so many other talented players on the defensive side of the ball that are getting paid millions of dollars, right? So what do I have to do? I have to develop a skill set to combat that. There's only so much Caleb Williams could do that he did in college at USC or Oklahoma from a scrambling standpoint. There's only so much that Richardson could do for the Indianapolis Colts that he did with the Florida Gators. So what do I have to do? I have to transform myself into an NFL quarterback. And what does that look like? That's understanding situations. That's understanding how to play in the pocket. That's understanding when to utilize my skill set. If I'm either one of those quarterbacks, what I'm doing is trying to watch and emulate a person like a Russell Wilson, a quarterback that has success in the National Football League over a period time and understands how to be a professional. And when I think they understand how to do that, their careers are going to be even longer. But right now, Caleb Williams is treating all these NFL games like he is at USC. But to add to that point too, right now they have to develop these quarterbacks. They got to give them time. I know it's what have you done for me lately type of league, and they're trying to throw these players into the fire. But at the same time, you can hurt those players unless you surround them with the type of players and the type of defense and the type of offense and a running game and the offensive line like they're doing with the Commanders and Daniels.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And I know, Greek, you want to talk about this, but it's a disaster right now with the Bears and their offensive line, all their injuries, and now they've already fired their offensive coordinator.
And you know what, Peter? They waited 2 weeks to get rid of this guy. I mean, what you were watching was completely disgusting. No, seriously, go back to the 4 screen because I want to see Seneca's face. Seneca, you hit a lot of things right on the head. But what I do, and again, I played the game, you played the game at a totally different level than I ever have. But what I do is I break a lot of film down, and I understand the game just like a lot of other people do. I'm not an armchair quarterback. But Seneca, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, I don't care if it's Tom Brady and Jim McMahon or Joe Montana. When you lose 3 left tackles and you're picking someone up to play left tackle position on your blind side, that was bagging groceries 3 weeks ago. You're missing a right guard, a left guard, and a right tackle. I don't care who you are. You can't play quarterback in the National Football League. And about Caleb Williams, what I've noticed, he doesn't want to use his feet to get positive yardage. He likes to use his feet to buy time, as you alluded to back in USC. The guy prefers not to run the football. He likes to scramble, and he's very accurate throwing the football. But talk about Shane Waldron. Inside News has already said it. He was not vocal in training camp. He was not vocal with his players at all. But you know what? They're going to have a come to Jesus meeting coming up the next couple of weeks. And if the Bears were smart, you don't want to ruin this quarterback. You sit him down behind this debacle. You put the other kid inside of there. And you know what? It's not called tanking for the season. You're playing for pride. But I only give it one more game. If you don't have a game against Green Bay like you're supposed to and show up for this game, this kid needs to be sat because he is the real deal for this team. That boy has
Right.
every talent you've ever wanted out of a quarterback. Seneca, I'm going to defer to you on this.
Well, agree. You know what? You're right. I think you hit a lot of things on the head, and obviously you're not a Monday morning quarterback. You're a guy that does his homework. He understands. You watch the tape, and the tape is telling me right now is that he's not been developed to a certain level to where his game has slowed down for him. This game right now, he's hanging on by a thread. That's how he's playing the position. The game has not slowed down where he can actually see the game, process information, and utilize the skill set that he has. So what happens is a lot of quarterbacks, and I know you didn't play it at the highest level, but what happens is we're going to always revert back to what feels comfortable. And what feels comfortable for Caleb Williams, right, is getting out on the edge and trying to create time, not playing within the pocket, maybe not even playing within the scheme, right? Is because he's not seeing things clearly. He's not making those reads. He's not hitting that back foot and letting the ball go with confidence. Because number one, his QB coach, whoever that may be with the Chicago Bears, hasn't got him to a mental standpoint where he has to understand how to go out and play the game. Or obviously, as we know, the offensive coordinator putting him in situations where he can be successful, getting the ball out of his hand early, getting it to the playmaker's hands as quick as he can to minimize the progressions, to minimize the mistakes, and to help his offensive line out. If you got 3 left tackles that have been hurt already, what do I have to do? I have to protect my quarterback. I got to protect him by calling
Let's
plays.
call more 5 wide receiver sets. Let's call 5 wide receiver sets instead of playing, an 11 personnel, even a 12 personnel, for God's sakes. You got a running game like that. But you know what, Seneca, I got to tell you, on 18 plays, I'm not kidding you. You broke it down. On 18 plays, he wasn't in his second drop. He wasn't even in his second step. And I'm telling you, 3 defensive linemen were coming in. They could not process a blitz if it hit them in the head. That's how bad it's been these past couple games. But you know what? I have to slightly disagree with you. I think he is processing this game. I don't think it's too fast for him because there were 3 games that he went 350, 360, 340 yards, threw for more touchdowns. But, you cannot play this position without having a little bit of time. I'm sorry. You just can't. It's impossible. I don't know how you ever would have did that. Oh, my Lord, that would have been impossible.
Well, no, I agree. I mean, even if you go back and let's just say we go back and we look at those games that we're talking about, who did Chicago play in those games? I'm trying to pull it up right now.
They didn't win their best games. I mean, they played Carolina. I mean, they should have beat Indianapolis. We both watched the game. Washington, they could have beaten them. The kid had a horrible game for three quarters. He got hit 20 times. And then he came back, with Tyreek Stevens. I mean, he's sitting in the show. He's sitting in the end zone doing this, taunting the fans. What are you, crazy? Get back there and get behind the receiver.
Well, I mean, even with that being said, and I understand it, but you look at it from a standpoint of, obviously, September 8th, they played the Tennessee Titans, okay, with Will Levis, and they're still trying to figure out their identity. And there's a nuance, there's a newness to Caleb Williams. He was the flavor of the month per se in September, right? Yes, so there's no expectations. The playing field is even. They just want to see him go out and play. Now, granted, he goes out and I believe they beat the Tennessee Titans. They start off and everybody's in an uproar about the Chicago Bears.
Right.
But what happens is there now, Greek, there's film out there and there's a process to it, right? So now the film says that what we need to do is try to speed the game up for Caleb Williams. To you, it might seem like he's processing information. But to me, it's staying at the fact that everything that nuance from the first 2 or 3, 4 or 5 weeks, that things now are starting to speed back up. He's not reading things correctly because now film is telling the defensive coordinators that they're seeing every week, this is what we need to do to create havoc. This is what we need to do. Obviously, as we know, there's some offensive linemen that are out. But what we need to do is just try to create a bunch of things that are not going to maybe process information correctly for Caleb. And what I'm saying is the fact that there is film out there on him now, just like it is on every quarterback. And every week it's going to get even harder and harder.
Great
And we're
point.
going to start to see that.
That's a really, really good point.
What I'm seeing with this is that, for a very simplistic thing, what he's seeing is not what he's getting. And what defensive coordinators are doing is they're lining up and showing him single high, too high, and then they're rolling into other coverages and forcing him to try and read on the run, with the fact that he is not comfortable back there. You can see his feet. He's got happy feet. You know what happy feet tells me? He doesn't trust his offensive line. Would you agree with
Did I
that?
lose you guys?
That's not all you got to do is watch the game, man. You definitely don't trust this offensive line. Seneca, who was your best friend on a football field? I'm going to name 2 of them.
Yeah.
When you played, who were they?
Running back.
Well, one obviously you're going to say is the left tackle Walter Jones. Obviously that's number 1, and number 2 in this case. And I heard Leo try to sit there and say the running back, but you got to understand one thing. It was for me. In our case in Seattle would have been someone like Max Strong, because of his understanding of the game. Sean Alexander was a selfish individual. I'm going out on record to say that. Hell of a running back, but at the same time, there was things that he did not do well, and one of those things was protecting me when I was in the pocket. So it would have been a Max Strong. And obviously, I heard you say somebody like the tight end. Tight end is really good when you're trying to throw those balls within the hashes. And obviously, having somebody with a security blanket like Jeremy Stevens also helps.
Absolutely. We're on with former NFL quarterback, Mr. Seneca Wallace, along with Harry the Greek, Leo Haggerty. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Sports Web. I got to ask you, what do you think the impact is of losing an offensive coordinator from a young quarterback standpoint? Because we always hear, once a young quarterback changes systems, then it hinders his growth. Go ahead and expound on that a little bit, because, again, you've been a quarterback in the league. What does it do to a quarterback's mindset? You got to learn a new play system. I mean, what kind of impact is that when a team once again changes systems, especially an offensive coordinator?
Well, it's a big impact. I'm just walking here, fellas, but it's a huge impact on the growth of a young quarterback. And the reason why is there's a confidence factor that one quarterback must have. And obviously when you have the relationship with someone, I'm sorry, hold on one second, fellas.
Yeah,
hold on. I'm gonna come back to you. Just hold on one sec. I'm in my office and I got to control my AC. But anyway, like I was saying, there's a comfort level with every quarterback. Let's take Jaden Daniels, for example. Jaden Daniels has Cliff Kingsbury as his OC. All right. You spent all off season, you spent training camp, and now all of a sudden your OC is gone. Now, obviously, you might have relationships with the receiver coach, the running back coach, or whomever, but that individual who's in your ear is part of the process of your development as a rookie quarterback. So now that this shift and your offensive coordinator is gone, yeah, we always see it. We see it every week. We see it with New Orleans. New Orleans fires their head coach, and what happens? It energizes the team. They go out and win. Now, obviously, in a situation when you're dealing with something so delicate, when it talks about the quarterback, it's very, very important. And that's why even when I played with Mike Holmgren, he's always stated the fact that I got to make sure that my quarterback room, it's a sacred spot. It's a spot where obviously there's a lot that goes on there, but they're in charge for your success. You win and lose with your quarterback, regardless of the situation. It doesn't matter about your defense. It doesn't matter about every other piece. But if your quarterback's mental game is on point and it matches up with his physical, you're going to have some success. But when you don't have these pieces in place, it's going to be very difficult. But I kind of see Caleb Williams and the way he plays. Again, we're going to go back to the first question. He just has to transcend his game. He has to have, and this is a learning experience, right? His sophomore year, when he comes back next season, I'm pretty sure he's going to look totally different.
Let's talk about Jaden Daniels and what do you see with his progression, because he's very successful right now. They're going for what do they got? 7 wins. I believe 7 wins right now. They lost to Pittsburgh. Talk about what he's doing differently, what that organization has done differently compared to the Chicago Bears.
Well, I just think it starts up top. I think they're in a situation where, and let's be honest too. I mean, we got to understand that a lot of things are about timing. They're playing the right teams at the right time. You got to have guys healthy. We can go back to Caleb Williams. I mean, they went out and got Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen has been out and missed games, And so you got to have all the key pieces and all the key ingredients together. And with Jaden Daniels, I think just right now, they just hit that groove. And obviously losing to Pittsburgh, but they hit a groove where their defense was flying around, playing good ball. They got Dan Quinn as a head coach. He knows how to motivate his players. They're running the ball well. He's seeing the field well. And obviously Cliff Kingsbury has been with quarterbacks in the past and developed quarterbacks and had success. So he understands what buttons to push with their quarterbacks. He understands how to get the ball out. He understands situational football. He understands third down. And here are the things that I need you to see on the field and being a quarterback and be able to get the ball out. So I think it's just the perfect storm with the Commanders. And hopefully at 7-3, they can continue on that road. And eventually, who knows? I mean, we know how that division is right now. I mean, they got Philadelphia coming up. Dallas is done, and obviously we know about the Giants, and they're trash.
Yeah, they're trash too, and they're coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah, Harry, go ahead.
I got one more question for him regarding this because this is actually going to be good. I got a question and a comment.
Mm-hmm.
You've played with some really good players, both Green Bay and Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
If you lined up behind center, forget about the offensive line. Your tight end's Cole Kmet. You got Roma Dunze, the rookie, Keenan Allen, and DJ Moore, and behind you, you have Swift as a nice running back. Okay, it doesn't block really well, but you got Roshan Johnson who can handle that. If I told you that in over 50% of the plays, when that kid drops back, that these receivers are not getting separation and not even finishing their routes, is that on the quarterback or the coach? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. And if it's on the quarterback, tell me what you would do if that was happening to you.
It's not on the quarterback. That's on the coach. I mean, obviously, as we're watching film and you're talking about receivers, tight end, you're talking about running back per se. Who does that fall on ultimately? And we already know because they fired him. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's the quarterback's fault to do it. And here's the problem. In 2024, and we can even go back maybe 2017, 18, there was a shift. And that shift came with the fact that now they're relying on young rookies who haven't been in the fire. You have Keenan Allen, who is a veteran, who's been in the league over 10 plus years. DJ Moore is 8 plus years. You got these guys who've been in the league that know how to be professionals. DJ Moore just got paid. My job as the offensive coordinator is to make sure that these guys are motivated, number one, and they're staying focused. Number two, I have to make sure that I'm creating an atmosphere for winning. I'm creating packages for my quarterback to create space to give these guys and these talented players the ball in space. The NFL is about creating matchups and exploiting those matchups. And as an offensive coordinator, that's my job. My job is if I see my receivers cutting short on routes, busting routes, and not getting to their proper depths, and I don't see my quarterback dropping back, throwing the ball with confidence, hitting that back foot, it's on me as offense coordinator. It's not on my young quarterback who just is starting to figure out how this league works.
Yep.
But like I said, there was a shift a couple years back where these young offensive coordinators, maybe these young head coaches, were giving the keys to their franchises to young rookies. And I believe, there is some value there, but at the end of the day, you have to rely on your veterans to take precedence. You have to rely on your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator to make sure he understands how to push those buttons.
Seneca, what do you see?
I'm gonna jump on with Harry's question because Kurt Warner hit the same nail on the head. He said that as Caleb Williams is dropping back, he's not seeing the pictures at the time he's supposed to see them. either the receivers are coming out of their routes too soon, they're getting into them too late. He's not getting back. It is a total dysfunctional offense in Chicago, correct?
Correct. And that's to the point, like I said. I mean, if you're the offensive coordinator, I have to design routes that time up with my quarterback. I have to design routes that time up with the lack of offensive protection that I don't have. So if I'm designing two-man route concepts, right, I need to have some time for those down the field route concepts to develop. But if I'm not actually a good coordinator and I don't understand that maybe if my receiver's running a 12-yard route, that I need to make sure if I'm under center for my quarterback, it needs to be a 5 quick drop or a 5 hitch type timing. Everything about the offense needs to be predicated around Caleb Williams
Absolutely
feeling comfortable in the pocket and being able to see the field and throw the ball confidently. And I don't care if you need to cut the field in half. And I'm not making it a progressional read. I'm just going to keep it simple, stupid, and let you get confidence. As we grow, and as you grow mentally and your football IQ does, then I'm going to start adding a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I'm not going to throw the whole book at him, but I'm going to make sure that all the timing routes that I got built into my offense times up with Caleb Williams' drop.
And on
No,
that point, because
true.
there's been a quarterback problem where guys just come in right away, you throw their feet in the fire. Usually about 15 to 20 years ago, it was you sit for 2 or 3 years, you learned under a veteran, but now the coaches are under, so much fire, Seneca, to get it done right away. Do you think that's the reason why you have so many quarterback busts? Because not only the pressure of that, which can ruin a quarterback in 1 or 2 years, but also because they're not simplifying the offense, working, Lamar Jackson, you work with his talents, you build a playbook around him. Do you think that needs to be done more with some of these quarterbacks coming out of college?
Absolutely, man. I mean, when I came out in the league in 2003, and obviously it was a West Coast type of driven league, Mike Holmgren said, we're not utilizing your skill set. You need to learn how to perform under the West Coast system and their terminology and the drops. We're not building stuff off of your skill set.
Yeah.
And I think now, but granted, I take that and I had to learn, I had to force myself, but we talked about this before. But nowadays, if I'm throwing a kid like Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson, Daniels, Bo Nix, or whatever his name is in Denver, I'm sorry. If I'm throwing these guys into the fire, I'm going to make sure as an offensive coordinator, so I don't get fired year one, that I'm going to utilize his skill set. Yeah. If you're telling me that this kid right now, we're not investing $60 million in him like we used to, where we had to protect the Cam Newtons or the Sam Bradfords or these kids who are coming out getting $60 million off the rip, and you're telling me now, hey, he's $10 million, do what you need to do with him. Drive him. All right, so I need to make sure, all right, what do you do well? All right, you run outside the pocket. You got speed. I'm doing outside zone. Oh, you do RPOs very well. Oh, we're going to do some RPO stuff. Now, like I said before, I'm going to gradually increase his workload, but I'm definitely going to tailor my offense around his skill set and what he's able to do.
I will say one thing. There's one thing that is actually promising, even though it looks like a little bit of a dumpster fire in Chicago, especially offensively. And it really didn't look like that in the beginning part of the year. They struggled a couple quarters, and all of a sudden he gets it together. He's not making the ill-advised passes in this 3-game losing streak. He's not turning the ball over. And when that receiver's not open, he's chucking the ball out of bounds like he's supposed to. Even on third down, he's not forcing that ill-advised pass. And that, my friend, is one of the reasons why I think he's seeing it. Because I'm watching it, 1, 2, and he's already got someone in his face. He's rolling out looking for his third and fourth receiver. There's nobody open. He's not doing anything stupid with the football. When he starts that, then we got a problem up there. That's what I'm going to say. That's the only positive thing that I'm thinking about. But Seneca, you've hit everything dead on the head. Dead on the head. And by the way, you're right. Back then, they wanted you, the quarterback, to conform to their skills, not their skill set, to their coaching program and what they did best. And you know what? If they would have did that the other way around, actually tailor the game to your skill set, that would have been a much different story. And I get it. I totally get it. And
No doubt.
usually that's the ego, not being indicting. That's usually the ego of the coaching staff.
For sure.
Okay.
For
That's
sure.
the old Mike Ditka mentalities. Those are the old mentalities from Landry, and the list goes on. Even Don Shula. Well, no, maybe not Don Shula. Don Shula was let me tell you something. That man was like a chameleon. If he had a mobile quarterback, and I remember there was a backup, I don't remember the young man's name,
Woodward.
totally changed it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what, Seneca, I'm going to switch gears here real quick. If I was a betting man with Harry, I would put my mortgage on the fact that I don't think Kansas City is going to three-peat. And here's why. I think they're expending so much emotional capital to try to stay undefeated. It's really going to hurt them down the road. They go to overtime against the Bucs. They have to block a field goal at the end. Plus, now all of a sudden, Taylor Swift, she's not talking to any of the girlfriends or the wives. How much can that really play on your team when all of a sudden your significant other ain't happy with what's going on?
I could have went the whole night without hearing Taylor Swift.
Well, and I'm going to tell you,
Sorry.
When is the new song coming out, Seneca, with her breaking up with Travis Kelce? Everybody wants to know because that's eventually
wait a minute.
happen.
She broke up with Travis?
It's going to happen. Come on.
It's bound to happen.
Seneca, I heard she got your phone number.
No, she don't. Taylor Swift ain't got nothing. I don't want nothing she got but her money. That's it. But look, here's the thing, though.
My wife told me I could have a hall pass.
There you go.
For real, man. She told me I could have a hall pass. I was like, nah.
You gonna take it with Taylor Swift, huh?
I don't know. Trust me, that ain't happening. No chance. No.
No, but Leo, you hit it. I think obviously yes. I mean, are we going to sit here and say that they're going to go the whole road undefeated? No. The ball is bouncing in their direction, and it's on an upward trend. But I must say, if I had to sit here and say today, week 10 going into week 11, that I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl, absolutely. And the reason why is the fact that just like the Detroit Lions, they're battle tested. They're going through something right now. And all these things that are happening are important for the game of football. They're important for the playoffs. They're important for a Super Bowl victory. There's not going to be anything or any situation that they haven't been through as a team that will hit them in the mouth come the playoffs. Number one, you already got a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a team that understands how to win. That's the key thing. How do we understand how to win? How do we get through Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions and still win the game? And that's the thing to me, is I'm watching it from a perspective where you have someone who knows how to win driving your ship, and that's Pat Mahomes. What it's telling me is the fact that they're going to be even more dangerous once they get their weapons back and they understand how to win already. They get Pacheco back. And he might come back this week. They're going to be super dangerous, and you add Hopkins to the mix.
Yeah,
and that's the thing to me.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference. And to me, they know how to win. Do I believe that they're going to go the whole season undefeated? No. And do I think they're chasing that? I don't believe they're chasing that. I believe the fact that they just are understanding what is on their doorstep right now. And I believe it's another three-peat. I think that's what they're chasing ultimately.
Yeah, and it's tough to get that. But when you have Patrick Mahomes and when you have a coach like Andy Reid who have the experience and you still have the weapons and you talk about Rice and Pacheco coming back, that definitely makes a difference. With that being said, let's switch gears to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you see with this team? They're 4-6, but the thing that I take out of it, 2 possible wins against the Atlanta Falcons, not able to close them out, not able to close out Kansas City. And for me, I thought they should have went for 2, so you could talk about that. And then, of course, the San Francisco 49ers. So what do you see overall with this Buccaneer team being 4-6 right now at the halfway point?
They're trying to be scrappy. I mean, right now, Baker Mayfield is trying his best to hold that team together, right? Like glue. And we understand the situation. They got Evans out. They got all their key weapons offensively are out. I happened to actually go to the game at this place called Cosm this weekend, which is an awesome place. I don't know if they got them where a place near you, but it's like a dome setting, and you're literally feel like you're sitting at the game. It was about $85. Oh, crazy! If I could
Where's
show you
this
guys
place
some
at?
video, it's in Dallas. They got one in Dallas, one in LA, but it's just like the Las Vegas, the Sphere or whatever they call that now, where they're hosting all these events. It's exactly like that for sports. I mean, it's crazy. Like literally, there's 3 camera angles, 2 in the end zones, and then 1 on the sideline of, I guess, the home team. It was Tampa Bay, and it literally you feel like you're at the game. And so I watched that game, and so for me, they played a scrappy game. It was unfortunate that the fact that Baker Mayfield stiffed arm, the defensive end and end up throwing and converting on the big 4th down. I just wish they would have punched it in, getting down on the 7-yard line to be able to beat the San Francisco 49ers, right? But they played a hell of a game. And obviously, to go back to Kansas City, yes, obviously, in retrospect, you're going to sit here and say, man, you got to go for 2 when you're playing against the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes, right? They had the momentum, I believe, at that point. Obviously, it took the fact that they had to get it in overtime and take the ball down and score. But if you don't get the 2-point conversion, everybody's going to possibly sit there and say on Monday or Tuesday and sit there and say, well, why did you just kick the extra point, send it into overtime, hopefully win the coin toss, and then it's anybody's game. It's a whole new quarter. It's a whole new ball game, right? So that's the thing for me is everybody always sit there and says after the fact that you should have went for 2. You can look crappy going for 2, and it looks like a storm. I don't want to cuss, but at the same time,
You can.
for me,
I think call it what it is. It's a shitstorm.
It can be a shitstorm like sometimes, right?
Yeah, it would.
So I think you take the points. It just the luck of the draw, man, is the fact that, okay, we lose the coin flip. It goes to Kansas City. My defense has to get the stop. That's why it's 3 phases of football: special teams, offense, and defense. And collectively, each one has to pick each other up. And in that case, I'm not going to sit here and say that coach was wrong going for the extra point and just sending it into overtime.
What do you think of Todd Bowles? Because he's come under fire here with the fan base. There's been talk around the league that Bill Belichick may be angling for a job with the Bucs, with him knowing Jason Light and liking exactly everything that the Bucs organization does. So what are your feelings on Todd Bowles? Do you think he's on the hot seat? Can he survive if the Bucs don't even make the playoffs, let's say? And you look at the NFC overall, I mean, it's going to be very tough unless you win that division. So what do you think of Todd Bowles? Can he survive, and is he on the hot seat in your opinion, Seneca?
Absolutely. I think Todd Bowles has been doing a great job. I mean, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to sit here and say, well, look, we had a chance to beat a San Francisco 49ers team that just got some of their players back. Okay, we had a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. At the end of the day, we've been doing this without our leading receiver and Goodwin, might I add. They're missing key pieces offensively. There's only so much that a defense can do to keep the team together. They're fighting, they're clawing, they're doing everything that he can. But at the same time, you got to put points on the board. And I don't believe that's anything that it's a fireable deal with Todd Bowles. I really don't. I just think the fact that everybody's watching this, and then when you start losing, they started off hot, right? They started off hot. They had a good little groove going. But when you start to lose, those fan bases, management starts to look and say, and they start second guessing themselves. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it for what it is. They don't have a lot of offense at all. And they especially don't have enough offense on the outside. Their team was built with obviously Mike Evans, Godwin, and these guys to make plays on the outside, right? Defense, do what you do. Create havoc, sit in the blitz like he loves to do with the defense, right? So when you lose those pieces, now we have to figure out what our new identity is. But I don't think that's a reason to fire him.
Good stuff. Great stuff. Leo, you got anything else here before we let him go? Because this has been an unbelievable interview, as always, Seneca Wallace.
Well, let's hope to get you back in a couple weeks, Seneca, when we start to get into the nitty-gritty. December
Let's do it,
football
man.
when it really
You guys
counts.
have me back.
Let me ask you a question, Seneca. You play at all?
Do I-
Do you have any action in any of the games? Because I would like to give
Oh,
Seneca a nice little pick here, considering he's a former Green Bay Packer and he knows how much affiliation I really love with my Bears. Because
okay.
if you do play, here's really funny. And let's just say you don't. What do you think the point spread is this weekend? Green Bay, full strength, in Chicago.
In Chicago,
It's in Chicago, and Chicago's right now their offensive line. What do you think that line is without looking it up?
7.5.
I would guess 7.
What?
That-
How about this? What if I told you it was 5 points?
Wow.
I was
Okay.
close. I was
Green
gonna
Bay's
say
minus
that.
5. And I'm going to explain why, because Seneca's going to laugh when I say this. First off, the National Football League does not, the NFL doesn't start and mean National Football Leagues. It means no logic. Okay.
Right.
This is what's going to happen this week. Chicago's not beating them. They're going to make it a game. Everybody knows that division games are very tough. I'm not sold on Green Bay. You're going to hear it first from the Greek. Chicago's going to create 3 turnovers on defense and give short fields. The play this week is the over 39.5, because that's what it is. Your total points are 39.5. Chicago puts up 18-21 this week. Green Bay wins the game, but the game goes over. Don't pick a side. Just play the over. Look for a lot of
Over.
points. That's for you,
Okay.
Seneca.
I appreciate that degree. If I did play, which I don't, because unfortunately my team, my high school team, is in the playoffs for the first time, and I've been coaching my butt off. So right now, I'm just
Congratulations.
for
Yeah.
the first time, the school has been open. So we're trying to go get a win here. So my focus has been on trying to make sure we can get a win. And when Sundays come around, that's my time to sit back and watch all the havoc go around the National Football League. So
Now, Seneca,
I'm excited
seriously,
for
are
it.
you guys 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A,
So we're
7A?
6A. We're the
6A?
largest. We are in the largest district. Let me just tell you this. We're in the largest division there is in Texas, okay? But in reality, we should be at like a smaller 4A or 5A school because we just don't have the talent. We're 6-4. And, like I said, the school's only been open 5 years. But we do play in a high-level district. We're playing with teams like you probably don't know. You might have heard of them. But if we did go deep into the playoffs, it would be a Duncanville or Capel. These teams are nationally ranked.
Yeah.
And we're just a little small speck on it. But we're going to fight. We're a scrappy team. Our defense is very opportunistic. They get a lot of takeaways. And hopefully they can create some short fields for us tomorrow.
Run the
just
ball,
don't wanna
play
feel-
defense. Anything can happen,
That's
brother.
right.
Anything.
right.
And a little bit of God.
That's
You
right.
just don't want to see Permian show up with the mojo, right?
No. We're not going to see them. We ain't got to worry about Odessa. We're going to stay right here in the Metroplex.
I got to give my nephew a little shout out. Plays for River Ridge up in Pasco County. It's a small school. I believe that's Peter's alma mater over there. His name is Stephen Berg. Plays on the
Okay.
defensive side. He plays 3 technique over there. And let me tell you something. The kid's a beast. Absolute beast.
All right, I'm about to check him out.
4'5", and 245 pounds.
Nice.
At
Wow.
6'2".
All
Yeah,
right.
but he has something that his uncle doesn't have. He has a set of good knees. Lord, please let him keep.
There
those
you go.
knees.
There
Lord,
you go.
let him
Seneca,
keep
thanks
those
for
knees.
coming on again. Peter,
I
take us
appreciate
out,
it,
brother.
man.
All right, Seneca. Thanks a lot. We'll see you.
Thank you, brother.
We'll see you in a couple weeks or see you next week. Good luck to you. Let's go out.
I know. Hang on. Seneca's still in the back. Hey, Seneca, you can't say anything, but go Bears.
All right,
Green Bay
guys.
Packers. I love him. I'll
Yeah,
tell you what. He's always a great interview, man.
He is. He is.
And in
Absolutely.
his knowledge of the game, it's so good and refreshing, Leo, Peter, to have someone like him like that because he's played the game at the highest level. Leo, I know you played the game. I played the game. I played a little college ball. This guy made it to the bigs. You know what I love most about his comments tonight? You remember when he was talking about when the quarterbacks have to conform to the way the coach's system was? But in today's game, they're starting to do it for the quarterbacks, whatever their skill set was. I wish that was the case. That's only the case with only a handful of teams. These coaching staffs around the National Football League have so much pride that you either conform or you're just going to be a bust. Leo, I want your opinion.
Oh, it's all about ego. I mean, Let's go back to the perfect example, Tim Tebow. What did Tim Tebow do best? He ran the football.
Yep.
Was it exciting? Did it make his offensive coordinator look good? No. It's all about ego. You know, if you're an offensive coordinator, you're trying to look good so you can get the next level job, head coach. And again, Harry, you're exactly right. Back then, you brought in a quarterback and he conformed to your system. Now, with all the athletic quarterbacks coming out and all the things they can do to extend plays with their feet, you got to make your system work for him. He's got to be the center of attention. He's got to be the guy that you build your system around, not he's going to fit into your system.
All right. So he's been very patient in the back. I know we were, we haven't brought him
Am I
up.
really going to have to hear about the New Orleans Saints?
Well, you're
No,
not
you
going
gotta
to
hear about LA.
Oh, God.
Ryan,
Am I going to have to hear about the LSU Tigers tonight?
Yeah.
You're going to hear how much of a disappointing team they are for me, so don't worry about that.
Ryan, you were there.
Ryan, what's up, brother?
Analyst of Amped Up Sports, my friend. Welcome to the Evolution. I feel bad for you. It's been a bad weekend for us here in Tampa with USF losing to Navy, getting their doors blown off, and then, of course, the Bucs losing another heartbreaker to the 49ers. So I know how you feel, my friend. But
It's not our week.
Talk about it a little bit. LSU versus Alabama. Go ahead and give us your general insight because you were there.
Yeah, I was amped up. Literally. So I can say I was really stoked to go to this game, a sold out crowd in Death Valley. College game day was there, my first game to be at that. It was a lot of firsts for me, and I was happy to be there. The first half, that stadium, I understood why they call it Death Valley. I understand why ESPN and everyone else ranks as the hardest college environment. Too bad the only Tiger that showed up was one from Florida that they imported over into the stadium in a cage. And Peter was all mad about that, understandably. I think it was a stupid PR stunt. But that was the only Tiger that showed up because the rest of the team, they might as well not even showed up because it would have been less embarrassing. And, at the end of the day, I don't think Nussmeier's the guy. I think at the same time, we're having to lean on him so much because our running game is absolutely atrocious. It's terrible, and he's having to force passes, but he just makes some stupid decisions. It's like we're on the 5-yard line, and we're like, okay, it's 21-6. We're about to make this a one-score ball game. Let's just get this points in and pray to God our defense can stop a scrambling quarterback. No, they can't. And then, he just throws it right to a linebacker. And I'm like, the whole stadium, I saw everyone. That stadium by the fourth quarter was empty, hollow. Like maybe 5,000 people were in that stadium because there was no one there. And
that kid
I stayed
Milroe's not even that good. I mean, you know it just as well as I do. You talk about Tigers and an embarrassment. I like my Frosted Flakes. I went to my cabinet when I was watching it. I couldn't even find Tony the Tiger.
He was scared.
He ran.
He was embarrassed.
Ran.
No, I completely get it. And he, whatever. But at the end of the day, Miller has done this 2 times against us, where he's rushed for more than 125 yards and more than 2 touchdowns. This time, we led him right back into the Heisman race. He's a glorified running back in the game, and we let them run all over us after having 2 weeks. And with a bye week, after we got our asses handed to us in College Station by a scrambling quarterback, you have a bye week, 2 weeks to play it for him, and Brian Kelly's like, oh, what are we doing? It was a scrambling quarterback. I wasn't expecting that one. And we get ran through. And then at the end of the day, I'm surprised the table survived and that Brian Kelly didn't hit the table. But at the end of the day, he says, we're not technically sound and our discipline is lacking. We've been saying it for 3 years, buddy. 3 years. What's going to change? There you go. I sit back a little bit.
You know what? I got it.
And Ryan, I can still remember at the ReliaQuest Bowl signing party last year, Wisconsin, LSU. Brian Kelly, to answer one of my questions, looked me dead in the eye and said, if our defense was just average, we'd be undefeated.
Yep.
Think about this now. They're scoring points in droves, and they can't stop dead people. It was just and watching Milroe, it looked like flag football. Nobody wanted to get close to him, and then nobody could get close to him.
Yeah,
It was tough to watch.
Hey,
It
what?
was.
And I got to piggyback on him. And again, I'm not being indicting when I say this. I
Go
am an
for it.
LSU fan. I really do like LSU. I love about it. LSU's biggest problem after I've dissected a couple of games is its coaching staff.
I agree. And yeah, I
They
agree.
have to. And I'd love your opinion on this, Ryan. You're right. You got torched a couple of weeks prior by a quarterback that was very mobile. There was no reason. Absolutely, I don't respect Milroe's passing game very much. There's no reason to pay man coverage and stuff 8 and 9 in the box and just go after that quarterback and completely shadow him. Why are you giving him 10 and 15 yards to roam around the field? If you're going to get beat with the long pass. But I'm not going to let you sit back there and run on us the way you were running from before. And if it turned into a shootout, trust me, it would have. It would have been a track meet. And I think LSU could have made it a little bit of a different game. And that is a perfect case of a coach that does not want to
Yep.
coach to a players and a team's skill set. It's
Yep.
going to be his way and his way only. And you know what? That's going to be the death of that coach of that team.
I agree completely. So when it comes down to Brian Kelly, he's the winningest coach in college football.
Who
But they should
cares?
show that he's not good in the big games. He beat Ole Miss. We shouldn't have won that game. We beat South Carolina. We shouldn't have won that game. Who else was there? Arkansas was the only game I'm like, I was actually like chill the whole way through. I didn't have one problem. We actually blew them out. We played good. And then, we go to College Station. We're up 17-7. Nussmeier's having to pass the whole time because we averaged 2.5 yards per carry. That is it. We had one good run the whole year, and that was against South Alabama. And besides that, there's nothing. We don't have Jaden Daniels, and I knew it was going to be a problem. But then at the same time, they're dropping 8 in the coverage, man coverage, dropping them way far back there because they know they want to get rid of the keep the ball in front of you. And Nussmeier has a chance for running the ball. And he will sit there and force a pass, force an interception.
Well, that's stupid because that's when you're forcing 8 back, okay, and you're not rushing any, and you're going to go ahead and sit back there and wait. You are supposed to run that draw or take off yourself and get 8 to 10 yards. You force safeties to get up toward the line of scrimmage. It's just like baseball. If you're playing against a sinker ball pitcher and he's got a no-hitter going into the 7th, he's going to throw a lot of balls. You got to get him to do what? Get that pitch up a little bit, right, Peter?
Yeah, don't swing the bat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And going back to
Rick.
it again, it's been sorry, I'm ranting. I normally post a minute and a half video after the games. I posted a 9-minute video on my Instagram because I went all through. We have 2 first-round draft picks on our offensive line. I can't put them all in my hands. How many penalties they have every game? Will Campbell, a dog on pass protection, can't block worth a rat's what on the run block. See him getting spun on skates. He was embarrassing. And then he's talking crap to the players after the play. Buddy, you're down 42-13. Shut the F up. Get off the field. And then, you go and look at it more. And our running game hasn't been there for 8-9, the entire season hasn't been there. And
that's because you're not running the football. There's the problem because
they tried to and they can't do nothing.
What you continue, it's just like what happened a couple years ago with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Peter will attest to this. If you don't commit to the running game, it's not going to happen. Leo's even going to tell you, I don't care if you go 3 straight series of going 3 and outs, as long as you continue to commit to the run. What are you doing, Leo? Aren't you forcing the safeties to come up?
You're wearing out the defensive linemen too. That's what you want to do. You've got to commit to the run just to make them honest. I say there's 2 things you need to do. You need to commit to the run, and you need to take a shot deep down at least once a quarter to let them know you'll do it. You don't have to complete it. You just have to let them know it's in your arsenal. Because if not, Harry, you're exactly right. That one strong safety is going to be in the box, and he's going to live there.
He's got to. If you commit to the running game and you keep offenses, even though you're not making a hope, I'm telling you, man, the worst team in the National Football League. If you commit to the running game, you can take a mediocre, subpar quarterback and make him look like Joe Montana. Because I'm telling you now,
Yep.
You will hit someone up the seam because he's beating a linebacker by 10 or 15 yards, and you're going to have single coverage somewhere because you're forcing safeties to get up there. You have to respect the running game.
I
But in
completely agree.
today's game, the coaches want you to conform to their game plan. Screw
This
your game plan.
if I can add one thing real quick. This is
Yeah.
Brian Kelly's every drive. Pass the ball on first down, incomplete. Run the ball on second down, 2-3 yard game. Third and long, have Nussmeier throw a pass. That's every single drive. That's how they all start, and it's ridiculous.
You know what, Ryan? I'm going to chime in. That's what I was talking about with USF. They're not winning first down. First down is the most important down in any level of football. You stay ahead of the six. If you are 2nd and 6 or shorter, your entire playbook is in play.
Yep.
If you are 2nd and 7 or longer, you got problems. So the fact that teams throw it on first down, they're 2nd and 10. That's a problem because now that defense, that brings their entire playbook into play. Guys, hey, I'm going to have to call for the left-hander here shortly, fellas. It's been a long day.
Before you do that, we got another. We'll get back out to the webheads, but Mom's chiming in again here.
Jesus.
Mom again.
Okay, she's giving an essay. Okay, hold on.
Who's mom?
This would be Ryan Neal's mom right here. Jennifer.
Hi, Ryan Neal's mom. You got a great son there.
She absolutely he is. I've heard since the game many times that the coach is paid so much money that the fans are upset. But my question about this: how much are coaches responsible to answering the fans, and how powerful are the fans in getting coaches removed? This is similar to the conversation before about the Bucs. Also, just not sure how powerful fans are or how much coaches need to respond and worry about the fans' opinions. You do not need to reply to this. Just have heard. Well, we're going to reply to this, Ryan Neal's mom, because it makes sense. I wouldn't say fans. I would say boosters are definitely a part of this. And
Peter, you hit the nail
fans
on the head right there. Money talks, everything else walks.
yes,
And I'll tell you what, I think the worst thing that happened to Florida was the vote of confidence. That's the killer. When they vote of confidence, that means you're done at the end of the season. You know, they're just waiting it out because they don't want to pay you. But, yeah, they have more effect in college than they do in the NFL with the fans. Because a fan base that is upset in college is a whole lot more vocal than an NFL fan base. Because let's use the Bucs. It's a local storm. With college, it's a national storm. They're coming at you from all over. And I'm going to go back to Virginia Commonwealth in basketball. And this is my parting shot. When VCU went to the Final Four, the president of the university came on and said, in the last 48 hours, since we made the Final Four, our alumni giving has doubled. Doubled. You don't think sports are important in college? You're living under a rock. And with that, guys, call in the left-hander. I'm out of here. Have a good one.
there you go. The legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Thanks a lot for the time. We also, Harry, I'll get you out of here. Thanks a lot for your time, man. And we'll see you soon, okay?
Well, yes, I want to say goodnight to everybody. Hey, I'm sorry it's been a little while since I've been on. Ralph, I see you in that back room. Much love, brother. Pittsburgh's going nowhere, unfortunately. I mean, you don't have Justin Fields up there. And I'm not going to give you a chance to respond. But I would like to see Justin Fields out there. Ryan, little brother, man, keep up the hustle. You're doing an unbelievable job.
Thank
And
See you, Harry. Thank you, man.
You as well, sir. Peter, much love, man. But 5 o'clock in the morning gets up a little bit early. The gray hairs are telling me I got to go 7 up between the sheets. Much love, brother. We'll see you around.
That's right. Don't swing the bat. And who's that?
What did you have for dinner?
That's right. What did you have for dinner? And also, Ryan, can you say it just one more time? Who's this guy? Come on, say it.
Who's this guy?
This guy is the Greek.
I love you, man. No stress.
No,
There's
man.
a little bit of confusion, miscommunication there. That's it.
No, there was no miscommunication. You caught me on a fired up night, man. It was just fired up.
Worries.
Oh, man, seriously, just listening to you. I've been following you, by the way. You're an inspiration. And if anybody wants to break into this industry, this young man right here is what you want to go ahead and do. Dedicate yourself, keep it going. And I'm telling you what, God's got a plan for you. And I'm telling you what, Jennifer, you raised this young man. I'll tell you what, he's really good. He reminds me of someone up. I can't say his name right now. Hi, Jacob. And Jacob right now is in the, actually, how is he doing? Have you anybody talked to him?
I have not talked to him, but we definitely need to get him to return.
I'll get him on. Oh, he might be getting too big. He's with ESPN now, but we'll talk to you guys later.
All right, good stuff there. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. Let's bring it back on the evolution. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with newest analyst here, Mr. Ryan Neal of Amped Up Sports, talking about LSU. Is there a certain point, because we're kind of getting the same reaction from Bucs fans here, where they're tired of Todd Bowles, they're ready to fire him? Is the fan base there yet where Brian Kelly keeps on saying we can't finish, he's stubborn in his ways, where you just hit a ceiling? Do you think the fans are at that point where they're ready just to move on from Brian Kelly, as crazy as that sounds?
Some fans are, but overall, we know this is his third year. This is a completely new coaching staff on offense, defense as a whole, and it's better than last year, but that Alabama game was unacceptable. I expected us to lose, not in that fashion. Like, I was expecting a 31-21 where, the fourth quarter comes around and Alabama just kind of puts the game away late. That's what I was expecting, not the game to be away at halftime. That was ridiculous. But I think Brian Kelly's job is safe, especially with us bringing Bryce Underwood if he signs. He's the number one player in the country and the number one quarterback in the country. And we took him right out of Michigan. And if he comes to campus, I say, Nussmeier, pack your bags.
All right, good stuff there. Let's go back out to the comments here because I want to read them. That reminds me of Todd Bowles. That's exactly what I thought about too. What do you think about this Bucs situation? Because we talk Bucs on this show. I mean, are you surprised that they're 4-6? I mean, really some winnable games there with Atlanta twice. San Francisco could have won that game. Kansas City. I feel like if you were more aggressive, are you surprised how this has turned out? Even with all the injuries, this team has still fought, but they're still 4-6.
I'm surprised, to be honest, but I'm also, a lot of those games you mentioned were nearly winnable. They were right there. It was just a few little things away from getting victory. And I wouldn't say it's panic button yet, but if you start dropping a few more games, it starts to get to that point.
All right, so good stuff. Let's continue to read some of these comments here. Christopher Cole, Florida football teams were 1-11 during the weekend.
This guy sucks.
Shani Heimer Cleaning Service LLC. Hello. Yes, we do advertisements on this show, so if you're interested, we would appreciate it. Christopher Cole says Carolina will beat KC. You buying that? Carolina.
I want to talk about that for a second because I've been seeing a lot of memes and videos on Instagram about it, and it would be so funny. It would be so funny if I actually do think I do think the refs kind of lean towards Mahomes with some stuff. I don't know if you heard that little snippet from this past weekend where he told a ref to let him know if they were going to hit him. I don't know if you heard about that, but it was caught on air live. And there's just the Bengals game, the Atlanta games, blatant wrong call. And that helped the Chiefs win in some way. Blatant. And it just gave the Chiefs the chance to win. That's the second time now the Chiefs have beaten the Bengals off a BS penalty. And I'll stop there because that's getting controversial.
Well, no, it's okay to be controversial on this show because you're exactly right. And that's what we continue to talk about when it comes to, missed calls, when it comes to the Bucs, when it comes around the league. And it's been at the most critical times. And I don't know what the correction is going to be. I don't know if they're going to start adding referees or officials to the crew. I don't know if they're going to start firing guys or fining guys. I think they need to do something, but we shall see. Peter, Harry, Leo, what's happening? What's going on, Ralph? How you doing?
Yeah.
Let's go out to Mike D. Roche, Canadian favorite there. Unfortunately, Bucs are playing for jobs next year. Doesn't look like there will be in the playoffs this year. I would just say keep the faith. It's still a long season, and Atlanta could fall apart. We'll see. We know the feeling when Brady didn't trust his offensive line. Let's go out to Carl. Baker's stiff arm is a play I would never forget on fourth down. Absolutely agree. It's a shame because they wasted that. Christopher Cole, Carolina sat young, and now he's a little bit better. Carl again says, if we get healthy, we can beat any team in the league. We are down, but not out. Go Bucs. Absolutely go Bucs. Go Bucs.
What about them Bucks, baby?
Go Bucs. There you go. Let's go out to Tim here. I see the Bucs going 4-3 the rest of the way. Chargers will beat them in 2 other games that will drive us crazy. JD says, gotta go. And Christopher Cole, every OL should be wearing knee braces at this point. Anything else that caught your eye in college football? Miami, of course, losing now, so down
2 years in a row to Georgia Tech.
To Georgia Tech. Are you surprised by that? And does that stop the Cam Ward train, if you will, to a Heisman Trophy winner?
The Heisman Trophy, I'm going to leave that out because if he wins the rest of the way, I honestly think the Heisman either goes to Ashton Gianti out of Boise State. I think he's the clear number 1. He's on track to beat Barry Sanders' rushing record. He needs to be number 1 right now. I don't care what school he's at. That stat's insane. He has more rushing yards than some teams with yards after contact. That's an insane stat. And then also the next one who should be up is Travis Hunter. He's good at 2 positions. That's something you don't see every day in college football. But going back to Miami, I'm not surprised. There's been 3-4 games in a row where they just barely escape out of there. There was bound to be one, and Georgia Tech got Haynes King back, who's a mobile quarterback, and it showed in that game. But what I want to go back to is real quick, because with the Bucs, what happened to Tristan Wirfs? Because I wasn't sure. I saw him go out, but I'm not sure. What is the status of his injury?
Well, it's an MCL at this point, so it's going to be a couple weeks. So they were very fortunate because it could have been a torn ACL. You look at the replays, It's one of those freak accidents where not a freak accident, but it looked a lot worse than what it was. Thank God. But you got players running into each other, of course, and then the knee or the ankle goes a different, hyperextended. So not necessarily what you want to see with an offensive lineman, especially one that's one of the best in the league. You don't want to see him go down like that because that's one of your that's right. Again, that's your best offensive lineman. That's protecting Baker Mayfield's blind side. So once again, the Bucs were able to dodge a bullet, but it'll be a couple week injury. We'll see how the Bucs do. The bye week comes at a perfect time because now you're able to rest, and maybe he'll be back for the Giants game. We'll see, but overall, it's just been the injury bug for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, the first half. Talk about your Saints, and then we'll get you out of there on that.
We won a game. That's it. No. So we got rid of Dennis Allen, and we had a new coach come in, and the team is fired up because we got rid of the guy who was the problem, and all the players, the GM talked to a lot of the players, and they said that they had issues with Dennis Allen. And first game he's out, the Saints showed some life. I'm knocking on wood there because I'm waiting till next week to where we get blown out or, it's just disappointing Derek Carr game. But I'm kind of, it just gave me a little reminiscent of the beginning of the season. I'm like, where was that for the rest of the season? Yeah. But I'm still not high on the Saints. I think we should be focused on a rebuild year, look at a way to get rid of those older guys on the team, get rid of Derek Carr, and rebuild and fix our salary cap. Fix the salary cap for us because it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad, and it's going to be tough to fix because you've got so much money locked into other players. You're going to, dead salary cap room, but I know the Saints have been able to maneuver. Right now, if I told you got 2 choices at quarterback for number 1 overall, let's just say you're the worst team in the league. Okay. Who is your choice? Is it Cam Ward out of Miami or is it Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, and why?
I'm picking Cam Ward personally because I think with Shedeur Sanders, there's going to be a lot of off-the-field problems. Personally. I think this guy likes to talk crap on and off the field. He's more focused on his rap career than he is with football at Colorado. He wants to hold up a watch after every little play he does. I think he's going to be a locker room problem. And because he's caused locker room problems at both Jackson State, and at Colorado. He's done it both. And if, a trend stays, he'll do the same in the NFL. He stated that he doesn't want to go to certain teams, a little toxic trait right there. He said that he will protest going to certain teams. I would pick Cam Ward. I think the guy has a higher ceiling, and I think he's a little bit more comfortable in the pocket. Shedeur Sanders likes to just, he has a bad offensive line. I'll give him that. But even with that, he'll just lob it up. Like, okay, he's down there somewhere, and he just launches it. So I'm a Cam Ward. I lean on Cam Ward more.
All right, and that may be a possibility of where the Saints get an opportunity. We'll see whether it's the Saints, whether it's the Giants. I don't know who it's going to be, but pretty bad teams right now.
Quinn Ewers.
And then
That's who I'm leaning on. I want Quinn Ewers.
Really? Why?
I've always loved Quinn Ewers. I think he doesn't get a fair shake. He's had a few bad games, but he has the talent. I think he's too focused on who's sitting behind him and losing his job than focusing on the game. I think that everyone's focused on Arch Manning. He's not getting any attention. He's a good quarterback. He has a good arm. I just think that he has the entire Texas fan base wanting Arch Manning to start above him.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have a team, an organization, or the fan base truly supporting you, it's kind of, I don't know. I think that's a hard place to kind of play for.
Yeah, it definitely is. You're absolutely right about that, Ryan. All right, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
I write articles on ampedupsports.com. You'll find me under contributors. I'm also, you can find me on Instagram at ryan.nealster.collegefootball, CFB. That's the end of it. Yep.
All right, my friend. Thanks a lot for the time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right.
Thanks for having me. And as always, go Tigers.
There you go. Good stuff there by Ryan Neal, newest analyst of Amped Up Sports, talking LSU and, of course, talking New Orleans Saints football. They haven't been good either. So my question for the night for you Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans is, what do you take out of this first half? Is it the injury situation? Is it the possibility of Todd Bowles being on the hot seat? Is it the close the losses there that could have been wins? On the phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Tim here. If we could have beaten Atlanta and just one game of KC, Baltimore, San Francisco stretch, I think everyone would be happy. I think you're absolutely correct. But the reason why people are not happy right now is because those are winnable games if the coach in that situation does a better job when it comes to clock management, when it comes to play calling, especially defensively, when he's the one that's the defensive coordinator on this team. And I definitely feel like that's his responsibility. He has to wear it. Is it on the players? Absolutely. Is it on the coaching? Absolutely. Do I think he's on the hot seat? I'm not sure at this point. I would say let it play out in this second half. Let's go out to Mr. Dave Ruffalo. Great job. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? In fact, the question of the night, what do you take out of this first half? Is it the injuries? Is it the close losses, 2 to Atlanta, KC, San Francisco? What do you take out of the first half with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here?
Pete, I think it's just a combination of key injuries, of course, to Evans, Godwin. Then, of course, the defense. We had a lot of injuries with the DBs as well. And then, you had a really tough schedule. I mean, it was a bloodbath. I mean, you had the Chiefs, the Niners, the Ravens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. I mean, you're taking on basically 3 teams that may go in the Final Four this year in playoffs, right?
That's correct. Absolutely. I mean, good point.
I think it's just that. I mean, I love Baker Mayfield. I think he's the heart and soul of the team, and I love everything he does. They just had a couple of tough losses. I mean, 2 overtime losses, and they had 1 to Atlanta, and then, of course, 1 to Kansas City. Then they lose 3 points to the Niners. So, again, we talked about it earlier. I believe that the Tampa Bay can go 10-7.
10-7. Do you think Todd Bowles is in trouble? Should he be on the hot seat, or do you think you just let it play out here? What have you seen out of Todd Bowles?
I just believe he's going to be criticized. With the issue with Godwin, which I don't think is fair. Leaving him in late, and I told you about it. I believe that they should have kept him in 10 points down with 1:45 left, and there was a couple other questionable calls he made that a lot of people scratched their heads. I think there was one with 37 seconds left against Atlanta, and he didn't decide to use a timeout. Or do you remember that play?
Yeah, definitely remember the play. I mean, the timeouts that you keep before halftime, it's usually like full complement of timeouts and you call it too early of a timeout there against Kansas City. It's been one thing after another when it comes to, clock management situations.
Yeah, I believe if they don't make the playoffs, then I think he's definitely going to be on a hot seat. Again, I really wish they would have went after a receiver when they knew Godwin was going to be out the rest of the year. But again, 10-7, I believe they still could get to the playoffs. And I think Atlanta's probably going to falter. And if the Atlanta finishes 9-8, we're good. Even if they finish 8-9, if the Bucs get a 9-8, they're going to win a division. So that's what I'm looking at. Stay positive.
All right. Stay positive. Anything else, my friend?
I just real quickly, I know we're talking Bucs, but I really wanted to just touch on the Rays stadium situation.
Okay. Go for it.
I know that we have two new individuals, Vince Nowicki and Chris Sheard, and now are part of that Pinellas County Commission, right?
Correct.
7-member board.
Yes.
It was 4-3 before. The two yes votes are gone. From my understanding, Nowicki and Scher, basically what I read is the Rays use PAC money to try to get them to lose, and they wrote a lot of negative campaigns, negative attack ads against them.
Correct. That's what you hear. Yes.
So again, now, do you see this maybe swing 4-3 against, and then they don't issue the bonds, or do you think they keep delaying the bonds until March, or what do you think is going to happen with the stadium?
I have no idea what's going to happen with the stadium again until a lot of people say until the shovels are in the ground, you just don't know. And we've, as Tampa Bay sports fans, when it comes to talking about the Rays and their stadium situation, it's been an ongoing affair. In fact, it's like a soap opera, if you will.
Yeah.
Days of our lives are the young and the worthless. And of course, the land is not worthless. And that's the reason why Stu in this organization wants that. They want the redevelopment fee. They want all the money, and St. Pete can give them the best deal.
Right. I don't think they're not gonna shell the $56 million or whatever it is to rebuild that stadium. So for 2 years.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that happening either. And why should it happen? Because you're about to blow it up. So, and there's other spots around the Tampa Bay area that you can go to. Steinbrenner Field, Al Lang. You can go to Clearwater with the Phillies. You don't have to go to Orlando, and I think Major League Baseball would prefer that. But what it comes down to is the bottom line for Stu and the Rays. He wants to get the most money. With the St. Pete situation, to answer your question, I think anything is possible. And maybe this is a time where Tampa can get back in the running for it. And I think a lot of people would be happy to see that. Although, and I'm not going to lie, I like to see it work in St. Pete. I think it most likely is going to be in St. Pete because St. Pete is the one that can give them the most money, that can give them the redevelopment fee. It's always been like that. For me, Major League Baseball has played this trick on the Bay Area for at least 25 years where they have used the Bay Area at their disposal, where the Chicago White Sox in the mid 80s there in 86, 87, they used the St. Pete area and Tropicana, which was at the time the Suncoast Dome, to get a new stadium. They did the same thing with the Mariners. They did the same thing with the Giants. And, the Tampa Bay area threatened to sue them over an antitrust. And that's why eventually they got an expansion because they were passed up again for the Florida Marlins and Colorado Rockies. So to me right now, it's about city after city. And this is what Stu wants. And this is what Major League Baseball wants because they want to up the ante. They want to apply the pressure, if you will, to the area to get a new stadium without thinking about, the financial logistics to it, how much it's going to cost people and how much the owners are really getting out of this deal. And for me, it always comes down to who's going to give the most money. If you want to talk about geographically where it should be in the Tampa Bay area because that's where your population center is. But the problem is when that deal was put out there, Stu didn't want to give half. He didn't want to give anything at all. He wanted the whole city to hand him over a sweetheart deal. He wanted his cake and eat it too. And that's exactly what St. Pete is giving him, and which it remains the reason why this will never be anything other than St. Pete, in my opinion, unless something changes. I don't think Stu budges on this. To me, it's just a tactic. It'll get done eventually, but until it gets done, it's wide open.
I just worried that, I want, obviously, Major League Baseball, I think, wants to keep Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa, of course, but I'm just nervous with everything going on with the Hurricanes and the bond issues and the election, these two new members that they could be. I don't want them to end up being like what Oakland went to Vegas, and I'm just worried. I'm just a little nervous that the Rays, might be in Charlotte, or they might be in Nashville, or they might be in Montreal, or they might be in Salt Lake City. I mean, it's just really scary. So we'll see how this plays out. Hopefully, they could stay in the Tampa Bay area for 2025. Maybe stay either in Port Charlotte or at Steinbrenner Field. I mean, I think they're going to stay here.
Well, listen, I'll say this. This is what Major League Baseball does. This is what teams do. And this is the disappointing thing to be a fan of the Rays, because the threats have been out there. That's the reason why the attendance hasn't been there. On top of that, where you let fan favorites go to other teams and win World Series championships, that also plays a part in it. Guys get tired of it. Blue collar people, blue collar fans here, they get tired of a multi-million-dollar owner threatening them every time. If I don't get a new stadium, I'm leaving. I can't sustain. People don't care about that. They care about paying their rent. They care about paying their groceries. They care about living and making ends meet and having multiple jobs. They cannot endear themselves or feel any sorry or any sympathy for an owner who continues to not even invest in his product. Let me get this straight. This is my problem with the Rays and their ownership. They will always tell the fan base to invest in their product, yet they won't invest in their product themselves. Have the same energy, as the kids would say, and they don't do that, and that's why fans stay away. So in the grand scheme of things, I think Major League Baseball will not leave this market. It's the 11th largest market. It's all threats, and at the end of the day, they're just trying to get a new stadium. It's all posturing and all kinds of threats to apply the pressure to the public and make them think they're going to lose their team, when in all actuality, they're not going to lose their team at all. It's just a thing to get as much money as possible from the public, because the ownership of this team doesn't want to pay it. They're not Jerry Jones. They don't want to pay for their own stadium. Once again, they want their cake and eat it too.
I think it's just scary because of what happened now. Sure came out with a quote saying, we're in a new era right here. Whatever we agreed to before needs to be looked at differently now. Quote, we're dealing in the county where, tens of thousands of homes have been destroyed. Our infrastructure that was inadequate to begin with suffered a lot of damage. It's going to have a bad look if they try to push $600 million of bonds, during the aftermath of these two hurricanes. It's going to be a bad look.
It's not a good look beforehand.
Right.
I mean, why does it take a hurricane or a storm to expose, what we've already seen, the infrastructure? Why does it take a hurricane to expose where the economy is right now and where we are as a society and as a sports fan? Sports is not everything. I know we talk about this on the show, but once again, going back to it, people are struggling right now to pay their rent. People are struggling right now to put gas in their car. People are struggling right now to put food in their mouth and groceries. That should be the important thing. And this ownership has taken advantage of the city and their fears to get the most money out. Why is this now a problem? It wasn't a problem with the politicians in the first place. Now it's a problem because there's a hurricane came through. No, you're just trying to save face. Don't bullshit me. You're a bullshitter. You've been bullshitting the whole time. This is all about money. This is about saving face and not looking bad, when everybody knows that this deal from the very get-go was bad. We told you it was bad. We said it was bad on the JP Peterson show, and we said it was bad on the Sports Web. It's been bad. He's one of the worst owners in all Major League Baseball. He does not invest in this product, and fans and media, they just give him a pass, and it's absolute nonsense, because the Lightning show you what it's all about. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers show you what it's all about every year when they're competing. When Brady came to town, they went for it. When Stamkos was here and Kucherov was here, they went out and made the trades to win Stanley Cups. That is what Tampa Bay sports fan deserves.
I agree. Absolutely. And it doesn't help when Rays management ownership, they're still kind of quiet about, why don't they come out and just say, Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Pinellas, we are 150% committed to play and be here at 25, 26, and 27 until our stadium's up. And they've been mum. They've been quiet. And, and that doesn't help either. And it's just really frustrating. So I wish the Rays the best. I love them. I'm not a huge fan, but I want Major League Baseball to stay in Tampa. So.
All right, good
That's
stuff,
all I
Dave.
got.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Use that second call for Turnbuckle
I will.
Talk. Great
Take care,
job.
bud. Great job.
Good
Take
job.
care.
All right, good stuff there. Get me all fired up for Stadium Talk. We'll get out to Ralph Williams, Turnbuckle Talk there. And I know also Cole just called in, CSB brother. Let me go ahead and read these comments. Absolutely right about that. We read that already. To me, they'll never fix the referee problem because it doesn't cost them any money when it starts hurting the bottom line, and then it'll change. Mike D. Roche from Canada. What's the word on Wirfs? A couple weeks there. Once again, they dodged the bullet. All hail the greatness of the evolution. How the heck is this team 4-6? I have no idea. It's just bad defense. Really, really bad defense. That's what I will say.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go on to Tim here. A lot of credit goes to the offense, keeping us in games. I do think Todd is on the hot seat. Caesar, Peter H. Blake, I sent you a friend's request. Would be honored to be added. Appreciate it. I will accept that, Caesar. Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Dak has $60 million cap hit if the Cowboys want to move on from him and draft Shedeur Sanders and then hire Deion Sanders as the head coach. You could absolutely connect the dots and see Jerry Jones doing something along those lines. You know I'm right. Hey, Pete, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. A lot of people are saying that is what they should do. Ralph says Bob Nutting is the worst owner in baseball. I still feel like it's Stu Sternberg, in my opinion. And Cole says, I believe sports teams should belong to the city that they're in. And these so-called owners should be stewards of the franchise. This would make it impossible for these teams to move. And also, they should be responsible. When you're getting, and I've said this over and over again, there should be some type of, fan approval or a fan agreement, if you will, where the Rays would have to spend 15th or better in baseball. Why do you say that? Because there's only been one team in over 20 something years that's won a World Series that has spent 15th or less. That was the Florida Marlins in 2003. If you want a new stadium, you want all this money, you want everything being handed to you, do something with investing and fans, investing in fan favorites, and making this team not only competitive, but a World Series champion, period. That's all it comes down to, in my opinion. With that being said, let's go out to the bodyguard of the bird, Mr. Ralph Williams, right here on the evolution of sports talk television. Talking about your Pittsburgh Steelers, give me your initial thoughts on them. Big time win over the Washington Commanders. You buying Mike Tomlin and the Steelers here?
Well, I'm buying Russell Wilson. I'm not buying Mike Tomlin. But I'm buying.
Why aren't you buying Mike Tomlin? Because Mike Tomlin made a decision to go to Russell Wilson. You still don't have any love for Mike Tomlin at this point?
Well, I'll give him credit where it's due. He did that, but he has a situation where he's power hungry, and it bit him in the butt when he tried to challenge that one play when Pickens had it in the end zone. He doesn't have a red flag kind of guy or someone to sit up in the booth and call down to him and say, hey, look, we need to challenge this. He looks up at the scoreboard all the time. He tries to do everything himself, and sometimes that doesn't work out for you. And you see where it had landed him in the last 4 or 5 years because he had a bunch of yes men. Brought in Arthur Smith, which was quite surprising, but he did bring him in. And, the rest of the group is a bunch of yes men in some cases.
All right. Fair enough. I
told you if he goes to the Super Bowl, Steelers goes to the Super Bowl, I'll do all my shows naked.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see that.
I know. Well, by the way, can I say something real quick here? I want to say, and I know Mark's not here right now, I want to say thank you to Mark Mancini and Block Talk Radio. Block Talk Radio ceasing operations at the end of January of next year. I had some great shows on that network. And, fortunately for me, I chose to get off of it because of some technical issues that they had on their end, shut me down for 2 months. And I just couldn't handle it anymore, so I got off of there. And, now I'm glad I did, actually, because they're ceasing operations at the end of next month, January. I'm sorry.
So Blog Talk Radio or just Mark and his?
No, Blog Talk Radio. I don't know what Mark's going to do, but Blog Talk Radio. But I want to thank Mark for, So.
Okay.
And I see you're still in that same chair.
Yes, I'm still in the same chair. Yes, I'm doing my studio, my my little king chair here. I like this. I had to get rid of the
it's a
other
fun
chair.
chair.
It is a fun chair. Absolutely is a fun chair. Now, with that being said, there are a lot of fun
By
times.
the way, Tampa Bay's owner is not the worst owner. Bob Nutting is of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean,
Well,
we haven't won a World Series since 1979. So if you feel bad about that, why don't you try that record one time? And Bob Nutting, he would pinch a penny till Lincoln's head come out. He screwed over 2 veterans this year, and I don't think anybody's going to come to the games unless Paul Skeens is pitching, because Andrew McCutcheon's leaving, and there's a bunch of guys that are heading out because they're frustrated. He screwed 2 veterans over their bonus money, and he's a dog, and I don't like him. So.
Well, and I definitely get that. And look, the Pirates got a new stadium, and everybody's like, well, they're going to increase the revenue. They're going to be a winning team, competitive, and none of those things. None of those things.
I got a better chance to get struck by lightning than the Pirates.
You probably do. I think you got a better chance of doing your sports talk shows naked than the Pirates being competitive again. It's a sad situation. Pittsburgh is a sports town, but you get a new stadium, it doesn't guarantee anything besides costing the public lots of money, lots of tax money.
The public around here, Peter, what they look at it is, oh, it's a great stadium to go play at. Oh, I get to go for fireworks night and concerts, and I get to go for bobblehead dolls and Paul Skeens pitching. That's it. That's all. I've said it many times in the last 2 weeks now. Nutting he better get a lot of bobblehead giveaways and fireworks nights and concerts, because with McCutcheon leaving and Skeens your only draw, you might as well forget it.
Good point. All right, let's move on to Turnbuckle Talk here. This was reported by Fox Sports coming in. The Netflix debut on Monday Night Raw on January 6th. Those are strong words. The last time is now. Cena said in a Royal Rumble announcement video that WWE posted on X, in 2025, there will be a history-making event. The last time I will ever compete in a Royal Rumble event at February 1st at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. And you want to make sure you're there. It's my last Royal Rumble as the road to WrestleMania kicks off. What do you make of this? John Cena, last Royal Rumble here. Is it smart for him to be in the Rumble? What do you do with him? How do you book this if you're Triple H? What do you want to see with John Cena in the Rumble?
Well, one thing I'll give WWE credit for, Peter, is the fact that they like to book these part-time wrestlers. You got Logan Paul, you got John Cena, you got Bill Goldberg, you got all these guys that come in. CM Punk is part-time. So, I mean, you got all these guys that are part-time wrestlers, and the WWE will find something for him. I'd like to see him go up against The Rock one last time. I'd like to see him go up against CM Punk one last time. Maybe Seth Rollins, or or Roman Reigns or something. Some guy, bring in some legends that he's fought against at one time or another, and bring him in and have him fight one last match. That would be great for his retirement.
And I could definitely see The Rock fighting a third match between both of those. You could see a WrestleMania 41, or was it 40? WrestleMania 40, where they...
It's 41. Well,
41?
40 was, yeah. Yeah,
was
40 was this last one.
Yeah, 40, when they stood off there, where Cena comes out to help Cody Rhodes. You could see the standoff between the final boss. You could definitely see something along the lines. Now,
it looks like The Rock's going to be busy. He wants Cody Rhodes, John Cena probably, and Roman Reigns. So we'll see.
There you go. Liv Morgan was on the Pat McAfee show this week and teased an appearance in the Women's War Games match at Survivor Series. During the same episode, McAfee teased entering the Royal Rumble in January, citing his newfound fitness as a factor for possibly getting physical in a WWE ring. Again, what do we think about McAfee? Because not only is he a great show host, he's done a tremendous job in brokering his own deals there with ESPN and everything like that, but he's a talented broadcaster. But as a wrestler, he can also cook. So you're looking forward to seeing McAfee in the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, that would be nice to see him in there, because Logan Paul's going to be in there. I'd like to see him throw Logan Paul over the top rope. So, I mean, I'm not a Paul fan. I don't like either one of the brothers. I think they're a bunch of show-offs. I'm not jealous of them. I just think that the way they present themselves and whatnot, I don't like the way Logan Paul, was a part-time wrestler when he was a champion. And finally, Nick Aldis cracked the whip and got the belt off of him.
Well, let me guess. You're rooting for Mike Tyson to.
Yes, I am. All it needs is one punch, Peter. One thing a boxer never loses is his punch. So
That's very true. But the last time Tyson fought now, it was in 2005, and he got knocked out. So we'll see how long this fight goes. Now,
I saw the Buster Douglas fight too when he got knocked out. I saw that fight.
That was back
when boxing was really relevant. Boxing's not that relevant now. It's a joke.
Well, I think now it's relevant because of Jake Paul. I think that's what people failed to miss. With
Well,
I mean, you're going to watch it on Friday, right?
Right. Oh, I am.
Okay.
I'm watching it on Friday. But I have to go to bed early because I have a wrestling event to be at, and I'm getting an award for media in Pittsburgh. I'm getting an award, media award.
Good for you, man. But you're going to still watch that fight. And the reason why you're going to watch the fight, because Jake Paul and
no, I want to see Mike Tyson knock him out. That's what I want to see him do.
You're watching it because of Jake Paul. No,
I'm watching it because of Mike Tyson.
But you're also watching it to see Jake.
Yeah, to see Jake Paul get knocked out. Yes, just like I like to see Logan Paul lose his belt. Yes, that's exactly it.
There you go. That's the impact. Whether you like it or not,
will be beltless or whatever, So.
All right. Several online reports are stating that WWE is running at least 5 Saturday night main event specials on NBC in 2025, or is WWE and NBC in an ongoing relationship with a Saturday night main event again? We've heard about this. A rumor, of course.
Number 14.
Right. Yeah. Raw is going to Netflix starting in January. You already have SmackDown on USA. You have NXT on CW. Both of those shows, by the way, SmackDown and Raw. The rumor is they're going to go 3 hours.
They're expanding their TV entity. I mean, they're moving on to different broadcasting channels and making it good for everybody to watch. They got away from Fox, but then they put NXT on CW, which means if you have a converter box and you don't have cable or Netflix or anything or a computer or anything, and all you are is strictly a converter box person, you can watch wrestling on the CW. So, a WWE product, and that's great. And then NBC now will be broadcasting Saturday night's main event, which means, again, if you have a converter box, there you go.
Are you excited about Saturday night main event coming back?
I am excited. I used to love Saturday night's main event, and then they turned it into a joke and had it on the WWE network. I was at a wrestling event once, a SmackDown, I think it was, and they had Saturday night's main event right before it. They taped it. So, I mean,
All right. What you're watching right now is Turnbuckle Talk. I'm Peter Blake, along with Mr. Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Bird. Yeah, it's absolutely great to be back. Now, Jonathan Coachman had this to say on the Coach and Bro show. Reliable sources told him Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are not getting along. Belair is allegedly frustrated with being whisked away from the main event scene to help cultivate Cargill's career. WrestleVotes reported that seeds are being planted for splitting the tag champs. So take what Coachman says with a grain of salt. I think this is also a storyline because it's been predicted. That when you get into it,
I predicted it. I was the one that said it as soon as Jade Cargill got to the WWE, she was going to do single stuff. And I said she was going to backstab Bianca Belair, and it's going to happen.
Well, take my money because that's exactly the kind of matchup you want to see at WrestleMania. Absolutely. So do you believe that Belair is unhappy with her role right now in WWE, or once again is this story?
I think it's Cargill. I think Cargill wants to be a singles title holder, and right now she feels that she has to be a step below as far as being the tag team champions like that. And I don't think she wants to do it that way. And I don't think Creative had anything in mind for her to really do that. It's just kind of, right now they're trying to bring that title to where it is today. And don't forget, Peter, we have a new women's U.S. title. So, I mean, now WWE's got another belt in the women's division.
Good point. Let's see here. Let's go on to Christopher Cole at the race. Spend $65 million to repair the Trop. It would be pissing away $65 million because the Trop will be demolished in 3 years anyway. It's a good comment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right on that one.
All right. Kurt Angle was on with Bill Pritchard of WrestleZone, and he shared his thoughts on Baron Corbin, who was surprisingly released, admitted that he's disappointed the company didn't capitalize on Corbin's WrestleMania 35 win. Baron, I think, is underrated. I think it kind of sucks. They started utilizing him the way they should have. They had him beat me, which I was okay with. It was my last match. And obviously, you're going to lose your last match when you retire. Baron, after that, ended up winning King of the Ring, and then nothing else happened with him. It's a little disappointing to know that he beat a legend at WrestleMania and a legend's last match, and they didn't really do much with him after that. For me, it makes me like I did that for nothing. It's not like screw you, Angle, but it kind of is. Angle also says, I thought they were going to run with the kid. I thought they were going to make him one of the top tier guys, and he was on his way. I do believe they changed his character a couple times. I think he was happy Corbin and then something else. I don't know if they found.
Yeah, he was happy he was happy Corbin. He was broke, and then he went to Vegas and claimed he hit the jackpot in Vegas and became rich again. So.
Right. And he also says, I don't know if they found anything that really stuck, and maybe that's why they let him go, because they couldn't find a character. But Baron has a great personality. He didn't need a character. He could be him. He was entertaining as it is. I was just a little disappointed they didn't do much with him, and they let him go. That's from Kurt Angle. So if you look at it, he did beat Kurt Angle in his last match at a Legends match where you retire. And then they really built nothing and did anything with him. I've never been the biggest fan, but the guy's a good worker. He was with the company for so many years. Were you surprised?
He's one of the richest wrestlers in the business. He's one of the top 10 richest, because what he did was he collected his pension from the NFL when they brought the pension in, and then on top of that, he was involved in that concussion lawsuit when he was a football player. So he got money from that. He got a substantial amount of money from that, and then they said his wrestling money, he banked it with that money, and he's one of the richest guys in wrestling.
I didn't know that. Okay, so are you surprised that they let him go, and disappointed they didn't do a little bit more with him? Or
I'm disappointed they didn't do a little more with him, because they got some guys right now that's kind of getting stale, and they could have put him in somewhere, or had him stick maybe with Braun Breaker when they won that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament, and then they had him teamed up with Braun. I think they should have kept that, like him working with Braun or something like that. They could have came up with something. Instead, they had him buried with Apollo Crews. I mean, seriously, and they didn't do well with him creatively here in WWE. And I hope that he moves on. I hope he goes to TNA or to AEW or MLW or Memphis Wrestling even, or maybe work the independents. That's how some guys get back into the fold, by working the independents.
yeah, maybe it's AEW for him. We'll see. Maybe TNA. Not sharing details behind the creation of the gimmick, but Baron Corbin has told Sports Illustrated that it was Paul Heyman's invention that ultimately fell victim to the pandemic. He said of the King Corbin character, I think the pandemic killed the King because this was one of those things that needed to be in front of people. It was all about the presentation for being carried to the ring, to the obnoxious giant 8,000 pounds fur coat and the crown and all those things. That's something that needs to be presented to a live audience, because it lives better that way, where it irritates people when I'm looking down on them and waving at them from my giant throne that I'm being carried on. It just has more of an effect that way. Do you agree with that? Because I never liked the King Corbin character, although he was he was a heel.
And then he was teaming up with Riddick Moss, telling corny jokes, and it's just like I said, his character wasn't there. I'm telling you, the best thing I thought was when he was in NXT. He maybe should have stayed there, because he was doing well, resurrecting his career. And sometimes, I've always said this, Peter. Some people can bake a cake, and some people can't. Some people can be a head coach, and some people can be a coordinator. Like Dennis Allen, he's a coordinator. Okay. That's why he got fired in New Orleans. So maybe Baron Corbin's thing was the NXT, and maybe they should have kept him there and let him build that brand up some more.
That's a great point. Let's go out to Christopher Cole here. He's going to be the fifth man in the bloodline battles. I definitely think it's going to be Seth Rollins. I mean, what do you think of that whole
I'm hearing rumors now that I saw a graphic today, or report today, that Solo Sikoa is recruiting Bronson Reed. And if that happens, then Seth will team up and put his differences aside. Or I see Cody Rhodes and The Rock. The Rock on the Solo side, Cody Rhodes on, with Roman Reigns. because I don't know who else they have. I know they have a few more cousins that are wrestling right now, but I'm not exactly sure what, but I've been seeing a lot of different reports and different graphics of where it showed the different teams and things like that. I even showed The Rock having his own team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with some other cousins. So I can't say. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to spin this.
I want to finish up with Baron Corbin here because Booker T on his Hall of Fame podcast had this to say about Corbin. He said it's an opportunity to move on and do something else because I think Baron Corbin can act. I think he can pick right up and keep this thing rolling because he was never a guy that was a problem or had a problem with the script and going out to the ring and laying that script out in front of a live crowd. He's never had that problem. So acting, I think, would be a whole lot easier for him just because cut, redo it, cut, let's try that again, that kind of stuff. So I think it would work out in that world very easily. So Baron Corbin, the actor, we'll see. Rikishi had this to say about the bloodline there. I had no idea. I didn't think either team was going to win. I would have probably thought it would have been a DQ for me. That angle was so beyond that you can get away with going 2-3 years with that angle added on to what they've already done. Of course, Rikishi says, I don't ever see a finish until it's some type of big gimmick match like Hell in the Cell, maybe 3 cages, 3 rings. Like, give them something that people have never ever seen before. That's what the bloodline is. They're giving the wrestling fans something that they never seen amongst each other, and the fans are invested. Are you surprised by the results of that bloodline match?
Yes, I was very surprised. I never expected Solo to pin Roman Reigns. In fact, I thought Roman Reigns and the Usos were going to win that match. I never expected them to lose. It was kind of like just a disappointment, more or less. I knew Cody Rhodes was going to beat Gunther. I knew there were, but I didn't expect that to happen at all with that bloodline match. And it was kind of surprising. I don't know what they want to do with Solo Sikoa. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't have much of a personality. And then on top of that, I don't think they know what to do with him other than maybe. And I don't think he's because Cody Rhodes said he wants no part of the bloodline anymore. So I don't think you're going to see any more of that. And I got some other rumors I'm hearing right now. I saw some pictures of Nick Aldis working out. I hear he's getting back into the ring. I hear 2 matches that could happen. It could be GM versus GM, Adam Pearce versus Nick Aldis. And I'm also hearing Nick Aldis versus Kevin Owens in the defense of Randy Orton.
Wow, there you go. Good stuff there.
He's so agitated with Kevin Owens about what he pulled, and I'm hearing also Omos may be Adam Pearce's bodyguard.
Okay.
Hearing that rumor too.
All right, let's move on to TNA here. John Layfield, of course, John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL, has been involved with Nick Nemeth, who used to be who? The show off himself.
Ziggler, yes.
Hey,
you know what? He's doing well with TNA. He's resurrecting his career. He's the champ there. He just went up. Him and Joe Hendry just teamed up. I watched the match, and they can watch it here for free. It's on Fox Sports Net here. I refuse to pay for Access TV.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that insight. Now, of course, John Layfield has been accompanying Nick Nemeth to recent wrestling events. He was speaking on Something to Wrestle podcast, and he noted this was all Bruce Pritchard's idea. He said, noting that there's a planned end game to these appearances. Bruce Pritchard gave me the whole game plan. I won't give you what everything Bruce told me. I told him I was bored. I wanted to do something. Bruce laid out the entire game plan of what he did about what guys have done to create interest and to create something that's worthwhile and something that is not worth seeing. He gave me this whole game plan. Now I have not really confided in him since because he's so busy. Now I've confided in you, Conrad Thompson, who does that. I've confided in Gerald Briscoe. You're probably the only 2 guys that know the stuff I'm doing. He said, you made some phone calls that instantly got me into a lot of different places, which I greatly appreciate. But Bruce is the one who gave me the game plan for all of this and all this stuff that I'm doing on the independents, this stuff that I'm doing on social media. I've got some stuff coming up that I think is pretty cool. We're going to have a lot more things. There is an end game to this, but it all came from Bruce. So Bruce Pritchard behind the JBL gimmick here. I mean, have you seen this? What do you think about it? What's going to happen here? JBL, I find this character, he doesn't say much, but it's interesting. I think it's really interesting. I really want to watch, and I'm not a guy that watches TNA, haven't watched TNA in years, but I'm interested to see what the end game is. What about you?
Yeah, I am as well. I used to like TNA all the time, and then when they went to Access TV and started charging, that's when I got away from it. I mean, they need to get themselves back on like a CW or something like that as well. They need to do that, because if they don't real soon, staying on Access TV is not going to work for them. I mean, it's working for them now, because when Anthem bought them, they were in bad shape. And I got to give Anthem credit for bringing them back. They got rid of Scott D'Amore, brought in some other people. They've got guys going back and forth to different wrestling companies and things like that. So they've managed to be creative with some things based on where they are. I like the JBL thing. I'm glad he's there. Maybe he can help enhance their show a little bit, and things like that. So and then it's also TNA is the place where, like, Baron Corbin maybe should go. He can resurrect his career or get back.
All right, so I got some AEW stuff, and then we're going to wrap it up here. Ralph Williams. Yeah, John Moxley, of course, returned to AEW by issuing the warning that this isn't your company anymore. They went from the Black, what was it?
The Black Hole Combat Club. Now they're the this whatever they are now. I don't know.
Death Riders, but they go from the Black Combat, or I don't know what it was.
Blackpool Combat Club is what
yes, that's it. Yeah. Blackpool Combat Club. In their interview with the New York Post, Moxley said a hard reset and complete restart of AEW was underway. And he said it began when he returned to television on day 0. He says everything that has happened up until this point doesn't matter. This is day 0. We began from here. It might not look much different right now, but it will. Things are accomplished by small incremental steps, doing little things consistently, and this is how big changes are made over periods of time. My goals going forward are probably the most ambitious things I've ever attempted. And, logically on paper, one would say they will probably be impossible, but we're going to do it. We're going to accomplish those things. Moxley explained the changes are needed to be due because to a mountain of that happened in AEW before day 0. He envisions a future for AEW that is inhospitable for bullspit, and where talents are set up for success and set up for growth to be whatever they can be. He also says that it's great, but this isn't a time to celebrate. You didn't just win the Super Bowl. There's no time to go effing to Disney World, By signing this deal and talking about the new TV deal there with Discovery, we made a commitment to do something and attempt something, to create something, to be successful at something. His words, not mine. It's not that time to celebrate. It's no time to do that. This is the time to get to work. What are we going to do with this opportunity? That's what I'm worried about. There's been a lot of previous AEW in the past. There's been a lot of sitting around, celebrating, just treating it like this stuff just happens, like, oh, it's just success. Just so it happens. This is what it's supposed to be, and it's not going to go anywhere. Like, this can all go away tomorrow. He also had this to say. He seemed like he's in character here, but he's also maybe hinting at something, which Bully Ray also talks about, or Bubba Ray. It could be whatever the F you want it to be. There's no rules. Any rules we have, we got to have, interviews on the set that look like this. So we got to have this in time. We got to pull this up. Any of the rules we have are just things we put out ourselves. It's pro wrestling, man. It's always evolving. And even you got to stay evolving with it, or you get left behind. Your thoughts on these comments that are just cryptic and basically to the point of AEW, you can't rest on your laurels, which, by the way, I don't even know what resting on your laurels. What is a laurel in the first place? But you can't do that. It's no time to celebrate. I mean, what do you make of Moxley's comments here about AEW now and in the future?
Well, AEW is a company, and I've said this many times, of a guy who has a lot of money and was a wrestling fan, knows nothing about wrestling. All of a sudden, Shane McMahon shows up And I don't know if he's working behind the scenes. I don't know if he's working in the office. I have no idea what Shane McMahon's doing. He could be cleaning toilets for all I know. All right. But anyway, I think by the addition of Shane McMahon, if he is there, I believe he is. I believe he is spearheading this operation because you haven't seen Tony Khan in a while since he got hurt. His father was with him, and I told you many times the family's not happy with him losing money every year with the wrestling company, and that's why the father started getting involved. So right now, it looks like Christopher Daniels and maybe Shane McMahon and some other people are running this operation. And, we're going to find out what happens down the road. AEW, the Hurt Syndicate will help them, okay? When they have teams like that, the former, what they call it there with Malachi Black and all of them, winning number one contenders matches instead of FTR, that's when I have a problem with them, okay? FTR should be the number one contender going up against Private Party. The Young Bucks are gone. Kenny Omega's still hurt. I don't even think Kenny Omega will be back. If he does, I'll be surprised. Sting's gone. So they have to have something at AEW to bring the people to the seats and to bring the audience to the TV.
And that's what Bully Ray here, says the same thing. He's saying that
Ray Dudley or Bubba Harry or whatever he calls it.
He's talking about what's happening in front of the camera, but he's also pointing a finger at Tony Khan. And he had this to say, yes, AEW just secured a $185 million deal. That's awesome. Great. Congratulations. At the end of the day, it's about business and earning money. But when you stop patting yourself on the back for that and start looking at the arenas, the houses, the ratings, and all the numbers that are indicative of viewership going down. Now, when Moxley, and this will be the last thing because we're going to wrap this up. I'm not
sure.
in
I know your roommates. I don't want you to get in trouble with your roommates.
Don't want to wake the roommates up. Now, John Moxley doesn't appear to be getting fans' hopes up about leaving some intrigue about Shane McMahon joining AEW. When he was asked about it, he says, it doesn't really matter what I think. We might as well talk about Santa Claus joining AEW. There is zero chance. It doesn't mean it could be, effing cool, but like zero chance when Shane McMahon joining AEW. So on that note, Ralph, get out of here. Go in and promote yourself, my friend.
Thank you.
Here on Turnbuckle Talk.
All right, I'm on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel, Ralph Williams, RW Media Productions. Check out all my archive versions. I'm up to 180. I need 20 more subscribers to get to my 200 goal at the end of the year. Also, don't forget the radio show I have on 1250 AM, 92.5 FM, The Answer. It's called Sports Corner Radio Show. We're back and better than ever with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, Luther Dupree. Also, I'm on Facebook. I'm on X. And I'm also on Tumblr, and I'm also on LinkedIn as well. And you can catch me here on the Sports Web with Peter Blake, on the South Florida Tribune with Scott Morganroth and his gang. And, I do work with Amped Up Sports. I'm trying to do more with Amped Up Sports, but, we'll go from there. So.
All right, Ralph, appreciate the time as always, my friend. All right.
Say hello to JP and the guys there, too, as well. And, so I'm glad you guys survived the hurricane and, happy. I hope you're happy with your new place, and so.
All right, my friend. See you later.
If you get a chance to go to the old Freaky Tiki, let me know.
All right, it's good stuff there. On that note, thanks a lot to all the guests of the night. Thanks a lot for tuning in. As always, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. And 3 things, as we'll keep it down. We don't want to wake up the neighbors. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. You're a Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Guys, have a good night and keep on tuning in to the Sports Web.